It's definitely these guys, right? The sheets are crumpled. The blanket is thrown aside. It seems someone was sleeping in this bed not long ago. The bag contains Teldrum's clothes and personal belongings. Sure. We've already robbed this house. Shopping list and papers. What's this? Sheets in the bed look dirty. The old bed covers sewn together from a number of patches. Pile of dirty clothes covers some snares. A few hunting bows and arrows. Okay. Taxation is literally theft. No. It's just taxation.
I'll go ahead.
It would be theft if we just did this randomly, but anyone entering our lands signs a very extensive document laying out kind of in detail what's legal and not legal in our lands, and this is perfectly within the laws. The chest contains modest clothing, some packed leftover food, a purse with herbs, and some other personal belongings. And if they don't enthusiastically agree, we just turn them away. And so therefore everyone here is enthusiastically agreed, I believe. Table holds a pile of letters cropped with a ribbon. They're letters from Olika's deceased husbands. It seems like they corresponded often. And
my expertise prevails.
Mattress covers, bloodstained cloth, and bandages. That's sketchy. Yeah, I guess she could be a cultist, pregnant with the demon spawn, and bloodstained. Okay. Definition of lawful evil again? It's in the contract. Yeah, we define that right at the beginning. You know when you define like the people, like the start of the contract, like who's who and like what you refer to them as? We also define lawful evil there. No, I don't want to rest. Hold on. I was inspecting it. All right.
Be careful.
These people are sketchy as fuck. But, well, I mean, the cultist wasn't wounded, right? I guess we're going to ask them about what's in their room. Find out. Why do you have bloodstained undergarments in your room? What is that from? I'll explain. I'm expecting a baby because of the journey of all the worries. Something must have gone wrong. It hurts and I bleed. I tried to find out what was wrong. I heal myself to appease the gods. The priest said he couldn't help me. The goddess rejected my Kyle, said it would be born dead. I can't just accept that. The child, my husband's child, is all I've left of him. We seem nice. Pregnant and hurting and dead husband and the rest of it. Reasonable. Alright, let's go talk to these people again. Been to your room. I found no hunting weapons there. Or you see, well, why wouldn't he just lie? Be like, look. Uma. Beg your pardon, Baron. He leans in and whispers something in his ear. You barely hear her hiss. Get a hold of yourself, you fool. You ruin everything. These are the world's worst liars when confronted. Okay. We decided it's Una. Okay. Truth be told, it's a rather embarrassing manner. I proved much worse hunter than I thought. Just imagine I managed to snap not one, not two, but 3 bowstrings in a day. Infuriated, I broke my bow across my knee. It shames me to even speak of it. Okay, well, I'll come back to you later. I mean, we know it's her. Do we talk to her again? No, we probably just talk to our guy. Here's our dude. Keston, arrest her. Okay. Someone who seems especially suspicious to me. Uma, wife of the lawyer. Well, they're both fucking suspicious, but she's particularly suspicious. I'll bring her to you at once. We have a question for you. Answer them, we can dispense with the extreme measures. The woman's face frozen in a sneer. Who are you, peasant? What gives you the right to address one of the Orlowski family? We're the great house of Brevoy, and we will be treated as such. An honor indeed, whatever your family, you're not in Brevoy, so I'm done with... If you're done with your pleasantries, tell me what brings you to our baronry. It seems to me that the dark goddess must be involved. I have no proof. Haven't I? The behavior of your husband tells me a great deal. Stand by what I said. As a subject of the sovereign state of Brevoy, I object to your methods and demand a fair trial, providing me with... Keston shakes his head and turns to you. Have you seen something like that before, your grace? An innocent woman reciting Brevoy law as if she prepared herself in advance? He turns back to her. If you're not guilty, Lady Tendrum, why such a speech? Exactly. Wait, no. He's fucking bullying the shit out of this woman. I understand all too well you need a scapegoat, but I won't allow you to cast aspirations on the Tendrum name. My opinion, interrogate my husband. He used to defend necromancers in the courts. I can bear witness to his crimes if a real criminal is what you seek. When it's uninterrupted by a loud noise from the kitchen, Keston's hand falls to his weapon. What was that? Dun dun dun. No one checked the kitchen. Prattle bores me. Death to the intruders. No one thought to mention there's a random... I mean, while they're like defending their innocence, no one thought to mention there's a woman hiding in the kitchen. I literally talked to the proprietor and both people in here, and they're like, no one mentioned a woman in the kitchen. That's scammy. I feel scammed. Why does she summon fucking garden gnomes to fight me? Her name is Tasana. The chaotic evil cleric. Mostly uses gnomes. The maid was an option? I didn't see the maid anywhere. Oh well. It's irrelevant, doesn't matter. It's just kind of annoying. Enjoying that a little bit. I started to enjoy myself despite the fact it's kind of a weird quest. Alright. This Miklas. Alright.
Out of my way!
Yeah, but so we unbuffed? No, we're still buffed.
Aim carefully.
Alright, Thaddeus should clean up the gnomes. Enlarged, he looks like he is.
Wound my gift
Okay.
to you.
Alright. Yeah, I understand that everyone that I'm talking to is designed to look suspicious, but we had three options, right? The innkeeper, who we know is not the cultist because she's, well, I mean, I guess she could be the cultist and the innkeeper, but isn't she a grumpy dwarf who, you know, we've seen things like the symbol, like the Aristotle symbol over there, which is one of the good gods, right? So she's pretty low on the suspect list. We got two people we've never fucking heard of and another one we never talked to. When we check their rooms, this person has a reasonable, rational, logical, a coherent explanation for why they have shit like that in their room and these people don't, and act super insanely suspicious, and then we overhear them whispering really dumb shit to each other. So if I had known there was another option, we certainly would have evaluated their evidence, but I had no idea there was another option. So of the available people, they were by far the most suspect.
This will hurt.
Channel negative energy. Sick giant cat on them. Fucked.
Run them through!
Enough, I yield. I don't know that we're allowing you to yield. Surrender, I surrender. She raises the hem of her skirt and starts to wipe away the blood from her legs. Her right leg is covered with sores, oozing pus and yellow ichor. You and your minions unleashed a blight across my lands. Because of you, monsters overrun my barony, and honest people fair to live in their homes. Tell me who you are. Quick now, tell me about the cult. Are these people in the lodge? Are they here because of you? Shakes her head. They were searching for the blessing. Other gods have denied them, and they asked the mother of monsters for her benediction. Benefaction, even. Okay. What's the story of the merchant's widow? Clinging to the unborn life in her womb, the seed of her husband is too weak. The child is doomed and will perish. The couple, did they come to meet you? Yes, several years ago, the lawyer defended a necromancer in a court of his native city, and he won the trial. Since then, all Tedrum's attempts to conceive a child were doomed to fail. Armasma didn't want to prolong the bloodline of a man who protected those who raised the dead. Una has more brains than her spineless mate, so she sought the support of the dark goddess here. The child, of course, will bear the mark of the goddess, but Tendrum doesn't have much choice. Okay, is the lodge hostess involved in this? The thoughtless thing? No, she did not see. Was not smart enough to see what was transpiring under her nose. Told you. Okay, enough. Tell me about the cult. Tell me who you are. I'm the priestess. I'm not from these lands. I came because of the pleas of your people who seek the mercy of my goddess. I came to these lands. Okay. I came to these lands in secret and hid my identity from everyone except for those initiated in the mysteries of the Great Mother. Even the hostess of this lodge had no idea, and those looking for divine benefaction found me on their own. Tell me of the cult. We are numerous and we are strong. They grow every day. They breed. Spread over the lands of Glorian and search for places to create new packs. What kind of ritual are you performing? Where are the rest of them hiding? Are you allied with goblins? No. Where are the rest of them hiding? Her face turns to stone. You cannot make me betray them. Torture me if you like. I'll endure the pain. kind of rituals were you performing at the shrine? We asked for new offspring to the pack. We mated like wild animals, free of stupid prejudices. I'll spare you the details. Those like you are unable to accept the greatness of our ancient faith. The more I hear of her, the more I favor her. I'm not impressed by your attempts to wound my pride. It disgusts me to listen to this. Alright. Enough about that. You and your minions unleashed a blight across my lands. Because of you, monsters overrun the barony. Yep. Okay. That's nonsense. I've heard the stories about what's happening in the barony, but I had nothing to do with it. The Great Mother. Okay. Eston, I have an order for you. Wait a minute. The Great Mother rules the monsters of this world, but if you had truly earned her wrath, your lands would be drowning in blood. They are drowning in blood. No, Baron, you must look elsewhere to place blame. Her and her followers have nothing to do with your troubles. I forgive all these people, even the priestess let them go. I have nothing against Lamashtu and her flock. I don't understand this. Like, would that be normal in this world? Would a priestess to an evil god be just like welcome in like normal cities? Sure, but that's what I'm saying. We're presumably good aligned here, most. So we can forgive them all. We can let her go. We can have her banished. Religious freedom is allowed in neutral cities. We can send them home and she must be executed. And arrest everyone. I want them all executed. More primal than evil? Oh, she seems relatively evil. So, what did we discover? We walked in on the cultists. The cultists were cutting themselves and birthing demons. The goblins also worship her. They claim this woman, the priestess, the evil priestess who ran from us, hid from us, then attacked us with garden gnomes, is claiming that she had nothing to do with this. Hi-Fi Panda is trying to bait me into taking her as a counselor, as an advisor. Ah, fuck. I don't know, chat. I'm not really sold. Evil goddess. It's so weird to hear that. Like, a worshiper of an evil goddess. I'm not tempted to recruit her. I'm trying to decide between killing her and banishing her right now. Mating indiscriminately, right? Like breeding in my baronry is more taxes. We like population growth in this kingdom, for sure. I mean, it's probably going to be roughly the same outcome. There's a part of me, yeah, I mean, your God's curse thing is a fair point. There's a part of me that's like, don't leave an enemy at your back kind of deal. Which could mean we could be like that. I don't know. It's kind of weird when she yielded. To be fair, her gnomes were not very scary.
Another poor fool, lost in time and space.
Get more gifted subs from Icardon. Thank you, man. Alright, I think we're going to banish her. These people are innocent. Let them leave. As for the priestess, she's banished from these lands. Your Grace, let me ask you. No, let me beg you. Allow the priestess to perform one last ritual. Let me save my child. Let her save my child. I have no other hope except for Sana. Oh, for Sana, which is her child's name, I guess. Priestess will perform the ritual for you, then Keston will follow my orders. Are you ready to help the woman? Or, no, there's no place for these in my lands for such rituals. Second option here. We did choose to spare her, presumably saying that Although we won't tolerate that behavior here, we are allowing it to exist elsewhere, or we don't think we have the jurisdiction to make it allow elsewhere. It's a little morally inconsistent. Be like, nah, she can do it, but can we think of a different rationale? How is that evil, Jeremiah? That's like, I don't know. It just sounds naturalist to me. But wasn't she saying something about like the child will be marked, but marked in what way? Can I ask some questions about the ritual? Like, does it do something to the child past what's the cost? That equals someone else's problem? Not necessarily. I mean, our goal is not to, like, what if there's an evil kingdom nearby and they're just like regular people except they're evil? Evil in this game just apparently means all sorts of weird ass fucking things. 3 legs and such. Mark equals deformation, I see. Well, we've got a grieving mother who wants to have their child and understands the fact that this child will come in disabled in some way. Fine, man. Do I have to, like, if she's not killing the rest of my fucking villagers, I don't really give a shit. All right, I think I'm gonna allow it. It's like making the Antichrist. Well, we could use this powerful spell wielder in our team, Miota. Dead child or monster child, that's right. All right, Alika. You may think of me whatever you like, but I have a duty to my pack. I'll help Alika and the child will be born as a symbol of Latmu's grace. Chaotic good. Okay. Heston throws a tired look at the lodge and rubs his chin. That's all. We'll deal with these people as you boarded. I suppose it'll be a relief for to Dumra to get rid of such troubling guests. I beg you, your grace, thank you, your grace, for your help and your wisdom. This is our liege guy talking, our vassal rather. Pity we didn't discover the true reason behind the blight, but at least we have one less mystery. Well, you're gonna be working more than just Monday mornings from now on. Just saying that. That's just going into your contract from now on. All right. We've decided things. Hopefully there's repercussions to our decisions. Otherwise it's a lot of reading shit for no reason. Got out of the whole barony, visited goblins, dispersed the cult, and even participated in a real vivisection. Now it's time for everyone to meet and discuss what we've learned about the source of the disease. List of feasts. Witch hunt. Okay, so we have to go home, I guess. Alright, we'll collect this just so it gets deleted. What's the worst that could happen? Well, I'm trying to be consistent with our thought process here, right? Don't you know I'm going to be talking with Destiny here in like 2 hours, an hour and a half? Be very careful about consistency. You got to make sure that everything lines up. All right. Hunting Grounds is that event. We presumably need another guy for that. I think right now we need only 23 hours. Going that way then. Chaotic evil monster. Well, who knows? Maybe he becomes a shepherd and, you know, like he has a flock of monsters and we harvest like, I don't know, like giant spider like webbing or something that we can use in the kingdom for sweet armor. Who knows? Who knows what comes out of that? Or maybe that cult just, that guy is, he's born and he's, you know, he has the mark, and the mark is he's particularly is a particularly large member perhaps, and starts a cult and then breeds a lot of children, and then we get more taxes. The win-win. I don't see how this could backfire, chat. What I'm saying. That's what I'm saying here. Put that out there. There's all sorts of positive things that could be. This Act 3? Yeah, we're in Act 3. The throne room is full of people. Your allies stand around the throne, waiting in silence as you approach. The atmosphere is tense. Today, you'll be discussing the strange and deadly blight that's recently struck your baronry. The gloomy silence is only penetrated by a loud chewing. Knock Knock has grabbed a whole fried chicken from the table and is busily devouring it, ignoring everything else completely. Sure. God folds his hand on his chest. Well, now that we're all here, let's sum up what we know. We spent a lot of time and effort to learn what we can about the monsters, where the monsters came from, and what's causing the strange disease. I hope this conversation can shed some light on the situation. Heston shakes his head slowly. We need to hurry. If we don't find the source of this blight and eliminate it, we may end up with a rebellion on our hands. Let's summarize what we found up to this point. Okay. Surgery showed that it was magic seeds causing the disease. Right. To eat it? They're initially extremely small, almost invisible, and people simply swallow them with their food. Once the seeds in the stomach begins to grow and cause the symptoms. As soon as the seed gains enough strength, it sprouts and turns into a magical portal, just like a bud turning into a flower. It must have possessed me to say it really does look like blooming. Each seed tears the body of its victim just as a flower tears its bud. Okay. We discovered that the cultists weren't involved in the monster infestation. Doesn't mean they're innocent of other crimes, but the monster invasion is not their work. Goblins obviously like having all these monsters around. To them, it's a sign of Umshu's benevolence. Others not to blame. Told you, but who listens? Okay. Can you tell me where these? Okay. I'd say they're just excited by anything new that happens. I wouldn't be surprised if they're linked to the story somehow, but I doubt the seeds were created by goblin shamans. Besides, a plan like this seems a little beyond the local goblin chief's intelligence. Knock Knock raises his head. You know what I think? I think the Goblin King is a rotten lice scratcher. Shaman plays him like a reed pipe, babbles about Lamshu, then plots behind his back. Oh, is this just fucking Tartuccio again? Son of a bitch. Seems like shape-shifting villains are pretty annoying. Can you tell me where these monsters come from, Tristan? The one that appears beside this because of this bloom? Undoubtedly from some world alien to our own. Although monsters appearing from the bloom are exceptionally large and strong, it would be rare to encounter such specimens in the Stolen Lands or even most of Glorian. It's impossible to say what lies on the other side of the portal. Say what it is that lies on the other side of the portal is its intent on killing your people. Okay. That's all I need to know about their results. The bloom essential properties are strange seeds getting in people's bodies, which cause them disease and eventually creates magic portals. Now we just need to discover where the seeds are coming from. Tristan has been examining the map on the table, gives a small cough. If I may, I noticed an interesting detail. Well, two details to be precise. First, the seeds afflict mostly the villagers. There have been no recorded cases of disease within the city limits, except for those who came here looking for a cure. Thus, we can assume a common factor in how people are exposed to the seed. Many villagers get their food from the same territory. I don't think food is a problem. Take a look. We have most cases of the disease here, here, and here. Monsters mostly attack here and here. See, the situation is most dire along the banks of the Gundren River. Of course! We'll just montage, wave our hands about where it is. Location revealed. All right. Everyone examines the map closely. Aristal of Mercy. Exactly. Along the river. It must be where the seeds are coming from their drinking water. Dun, dun, dun. All right. I mean, simple solution. We just don't drink water again. Are we just not going to start boiling the water maybe? There are dozens of villagers around the riverbanks. Hundreds of people. How many are likely infected? Are you suggesting we wait for them all to succumb to this bloom, Baron? Let's play. Pray we can deal with the situation before this happens. Militia often fight and find monsters by the bank, right? We used to think the monsters were coming to the river to drink, but if the cleric says is right, okay. We'll have to go upstream and find the source of this blight. Knock Knock jumps at your words. Take me. I want to settle the score with the king. Heston straightens up and flexes his shoulders. If you allow me, Baron, I'd like to take the lead on this. I'll take the best member of the militia with me and sweep the woods along the river. We'll look under each and every rock if needed. After everything they've been through, these people deserve a chance to discover the source of their misfortunes. I'd like to take the lead on this. I'll take the best members of the militia with me and we'll sweep the woods along the river. We'll look under each and every rock if needed, and after everything they've been through, these people deserve a chance to discover the source of their misfortunes. I think that's reasonable. All right. I won't deprive people of the opportunity to find the cause of their troubles. All right. Thank you, my Baron. I hope you'll join us soon. How did you find the link between the disease and the river? Okay. Some strange shit around the land seems to imply something weird. Oh, wait, what's his face back already? He cloaked himself after walking behind that? Nice. Is there like a pillar he's supposed to be walking behind, maybe? Your Grace, we have trouble. The peasants are rioting. Ugh. That's the only solution these nitwits could come up with. Don't worry, Baron. As long as they're not setting fire to the streets, we have a chance of coming to a peaceful resolution. If you allow me, I'll go and speak to them, do my best to calm them down. And if peace doesn't prevail, your guards and I will stand with you. Let's go. I can hear the shouting even from here. It's gotten really story-driven at this point, hasn't it? I mean, the problem with riots for the rioters is Thaddeus says cleave. The murmuring crowd takes up almost the entire square. The murmuring turns to shouts at your arrival, and a stone flies out of the crowd and strikes the cobbles at your feet. This is not cobbled. What is this, in our head? Our court bard is pretending that we have like nice paved roads. We're in like a mud pit, like a mud pit with some like fucking swamp grass growing out of it. There he is, out at last. Damn his eyes. Hey, please hear me out before you lynch me. I know you're tired and disgruntled. I am too. Day after day, I and my companions seek a solution to your misfortunes. We've saved so many from this fatal disease, and if the gods have mercy, we can save even more. So please, just let's do as we can. Return to your homes and your loved ones. They need you just as I need your patience and good faith. We could ask that. Silence. Please let us speak. Tell me what brings you to my door. Let Jod speak. I command you to leave this place immediately. Let's try this. Let's try requires good here. The crowd before you sways and mumbles. People look at one another, talk in a hushed tone, shake their hands and frown. It seems rebels who were screaming and jeering a minute ago lost all their confidence. Finally, one of the peasants opens his mouth. Baron is right. We talked reason to a crowd. I believe it. I'll believe it when I see it. You really believe this? It's pure nonsense. Don't you get it? Could run the Baron through, but it wouldn't change a thing. He's of more use alive than dead. So be it, Baron. We'll let you pass, but don't forget, we're trusting you with our lives. Find the source. Save our children from this terrible sickness. Work. I know Lindsay's writing it. That was the reference I just made. Thought it was an odd thing to embellish. This woman, is this the priestess? No. Octavia looks alarmed. You won't believe what just happened. Some crook just showed up at our gates insisting on seeing the lad who bumped off the stag lord. He says he's brought a tribute to the new chief of the stolen lands and asked for permission to conduct his business under your protection. You don't want to be seen as another stag lord in your lands as an open field for thugs, and throw the scoundrel out along with the tribute. Drive the bandit from my lands, and from now on, same of any similar. Gain 50 BP. Arrest this bandit and clap him in irons. The same fate awaits anyone like him. I will accept this tribute. I hope this good lad and his colleagues will continue to share their revenue in the future. We're not taking number 3, but I am very curious what the impact of it would have been. Loyalty -2, economy -5. And we get 1d4 BP per week. Wait, why are these our only 3 options? This man seems like he's had better days, wants to figure out a way that he can advance from this, is a little bit bold, a little bit I feel like we should hire this man. Not like allow him to do what he wants to do, but like repurpose this fine, strapping young lad of a bandit. I'm quite annoyed we can't. We're not arresting him, but I don't want to banish him either. Both those kind of suck. All right, I mean, I guess we're gonna arrest him. Well, maybe we can talk to him after we arrest him. I guess we're gonna arrest him. All right, what's the other one? +3. If I were just to choose this on impact, I would choose community +3. But really what I was hoping for was like a 4th option here. So, arrest him and clap him in irons. The same fate awaits any like him. Rip. Okay. As I said, I'm gonna try to make these decisions without knowing the outcomes. All right, listen, Yadlish, remember about recruitment? Well, I did that. We have numbers, but there's no one to command them. We need to find someone these dimwits will fear and obey. Me alone is not enough. You know who we could make commanders? Yes, enterprising bandits. Not these boneheads from Pervoy who dance around their pig stickers. No, we should hire spellcasters instead. Our regular bonebreaker troops won't whisper a word against a wizard. They're too afraid of getting lightning thrown in their face. Just imagine the terror they'll bring to the battlefield. Not like the sword lords Chorl mopped the floor with. Hire sword lords as officers. Oh, I see. So this is just 2 different locations. Spellcasters as officers sounds good. Right? A couple of fried troublemakers. Great. A couple of fried troublemakers and the rest of your soldiers will toe the line. Great. His decisions. Okay, is everyone done fucking talking to us for a goddamn minute? Good. Let's survey what our idiot advisors have been up to while we were gone. Should look at knock knock stats too. All right, counselor awaits in this room. Yeah, good. Lindsay has a suggestion. Troubled lands. Good. Triumph. Good work. Okay. Unrest in the streets. +1. Good. Finished? Ah, research into the nature of curses. Village on the marshes. Okay. So we have one event, monster sightings. We could drop Gognar on. Probably solve that. That seems really reasonable. We have a month to get it done. Nope, we have 2 months to get it done. Thought we had other events here too, but they must have been gone. All right, project-wise, we have a couple other ones to do. We can rank up any of these 3, although it's a 2-week process to do that. All right, chat. I need a quick break, and then I'll just come back and make these decisions, and we'll get moving again. See you guys in a second. All right. What are we doing here? We probably want to do one of these rank ups if we can. The 3 people are available for rank ups. Who are they? Stian, Avia, Berengar, and Canara. Okay. 4, I guess. Although this one apparently is not available because he's still busy. Okay, so we want to do about 2 weeks here. Monster sighting is literally 2 weeks, so it's kind of perfect. So we don't want it to be Berengar that we're leveling up. And what are our current stats over here? Who are our advisors right now? Evia is our community advisor. All right, what else do we have for projects? Do we have 2 weeks for anybody else? What the general's advisors? Oh, but this is the rank up stuff. Economy. Creation of the fortress, 30 days. Training versus 60 days. Oh, there. So with the 3 people we have, we can probably level up what's her face and then send 2 people doing other things, either research into curses, which is reasonable. Divine and arcane, presumably useful to us right now. Both of them, divine and they're all divine and arcane. These, okay. I don't know what it takes for arcane to get an advisor. I think it's 30, but I'm not entirely certain about this. What other projects are there, if any? These shitty economy ones, right? Restoration of this is military instability, which is pretty low. Find 60 to get an arcane advisor. All right. 2 weeks seems okay. Do that. Which of these do we care about the most? Divine +2 for 45 days. What do we care about the most? We need divine to get arcane. We care about divine more than arcane, and this is cheaper time, although bad overall, worse resources per time. This is arcane 3. Divine 2, arcane 2. Do I have the buffs? Kingdom manager. No. Your BP for this, 60 days. Endelmere curses or Bald Hilltop. Feels like Bald Hilltop stuff might be useful. Run this. 50 days is a while. Okay. Fine. All right, what other projects? We are gonna do the reagents, but who does that leave? It leaves Avia, right? There's no other ones we can do for leveling them. I mean, we could level Octavia and then let what's her face do that one for 2 weeks or whatever. That would be roughly okay, but she's our community manager, right? And she needs to get to 2 because her stats suck. Seems so wasteful to leave the one person. It's kind of like an annoying mini game. I don't mind the decision making part of it, but like trying to figure out the timing on my advisors so I can rank them up is. Does this do military instability for 30 days? It would be nice to get it out of our list, but it's not particularly relevant to anything, right? Maybe stability matters. Your BP to send her out. The one I've been waiting to level, but all right, that's fine. Has Octavia even done anything yet? Like, she was been part of like one mission, right? All right, we're gonna. I lied. We're gonna do her. All right, let's do this. Yeah. Clear to me why that needs to be animated, but sure. Okay, Economy Advisor 3. Good. What's popped up meanwhile? Resolved. Resolved. Okay. Events that have popped up are 2. Amazing discovery. Some foreign treasure hunters found an amazing artifact. It'd be nice to obtain it. Agreed. And line from above. The locals could use a reminder of greatness and power. High Priestess should hold a solemn ritual. High Priestess. Fuck. How many time do we have? We have month 4, 15 days. He's the only one who can do this. Roll. Opportunity. Tell me what it gives me. I don't know what it gives me. How do I cost evaluate this if I can't see what it gives me for this chat? Hey, Miss Useless can do something. Kind of nice. Tells me if I select someone maybe. +3 community on Triumph or Successor Triumph seems great. Bonus based on the minister. I see. And who else would have rank up available to them right now? General. Reasonable. Christian's back too. Strengthen Bartholomew's skills as a treasurer. Wait, Bartholomew's my treasurer? I thought she was my treasurer. We can send it for 20 days for this. Boost his stats. Wait, if I do this, Bartholomew's stats will get boosted, but Bartholomew, and he's always going to be worse though, right? Because he can't wear this shit. Level's the current minister. Okay. What am I doing with Tristian? Send him off to deal with that. And then level Tristian. Is he available for leveling up? General, Regent, Counselor. Yeah. Okay, anything else time sensitive right now? I think we're gonna do the 2-week thing again. To have a time limit there. Sure, there's some hidden time limit somewhere, but I'll have to make that decision without knowing. I'd rather spend a minute here while I'm here to do this, I think. Okay. We already took care of the event, right? So annoying that Christine can't do this one.
A generous bestowal.
General Sam. New sky on for the 1,000 bits. I don't know who General Sam is. Tell you what. You link me a General Sam in my Discord. Some reason why I might want to. I will at least mention it to Chiz. Mentioned previous guests to Chiz. Mentioned Kit to him initially. So, sure. Potentially anyways. Doesn't really work that way though for like replacing me with somebody else on that week kind of deal. But it might be a possible guest. Thanks for the donation, man. Anyways. What are we doing about this? We're just gonna let that one go, I guess. So let's rank up Christium. There's nothing that fucking useless. That other guy's working already. Can't do anything with Octavia though. Alright. Rank 3. 4 events have popped up since then. A couple of our people are still out. Guy's got 16 days left, 6 days and 32 days left. Right. Claim the Camelins. Yeah. She can do that. She's amazing discovering. So how long do I have for this? A while. Nice. We can get another region. That's great. Where was she? She's working until... Not working at all. I was fucking slacking off. I think she's here, but she's not. Were we supposed to have started that and we didn't? Might have missed one of my advisors during this. Shit. 15 days to claim seems solid. Urgent? I don't know, man. Feels like getting your cities down early so they can grow in population and feed us science is going to be important, man. Didn't hit the start button. That feels bad. Alright, so what are the events that are popping up? Strange disease and the reasons spreading concern to the resident. Interesting enough, this is a problem. It's due the 1st of the 5th month. Okay. Neighboring Baron heard of your strife and sent help. Let's see what that is. Alright. Ruler of Arnhold sent aid. And Wheel of Enhancement 2 from Bakken. I'd like you to craft something specific. Running low on potions, oils and ointments, alchemical items. Yeah, I don't know what any of these do. I think this is our first oil. I'm not running low on potions though. Another one of your alchemical items. Yeah. Alright, and now of transmutations and bodily poisons is something that Bakken wants. Nice. Yeah. Alright, if you tell him what to do, he wants. Tell him to do what he wants, he creates a chance to create his masterpiece. I see. Tell you what it's doing fine in my shop. Our folk love their ruler and they're okay. Mad scientist gloves. Didn't we just send him away and he's just built something already? No time has passed, he's been here twice? Man, it's fucking productive. What did he just give us? Fire and acid resist. Those are not good, but I guess it's something over nothing. All right. So back to working through this. We are gonna try to force troublemakers by first. Send her to deal with this, presumably, apparently. That would be those two taken care of. What is this one? This is an opportunity. First coming up. We don't have anyone who's capable of doing this. We could cancel that shit. What does it do? We do accept this. I don't know. So it's can't do it, can't do it. Amazing discovery is they're all due the 4th too. That's really annoying. Every one of them. 4th month, the 1st. 4th month, the 1st. 4th month, the 1st. 4th month, the 1st. Yet fucked. This one is the 5th month. So we're not doing that one. That's the only one we know we're not doing. Okay. Alright, so we have 4 to fill and only like 3 advisors, I believe. And is this the only person who can do this one? If it is, we're just going to fire that off. May as well be. Although, we have 2 that can't be done apparently. Without pulling him back, which I'm seriously considering. I've started this thing twice and it's been useless both times. It's curse research. I would cancel that by going down to curses and just canceling it. I know people told me curse research is a trap. It just feels weird to believe that. Okay, so blighted disease could be Tristian, essentially. Oh, it's the 5th. This is the trap one. So we want to do all the others first. This one has to be harem. An opportunity though. This one has to be harem. An opportunity. One has to be Octavia. One has to be also Octavia. This interface is fucking dog shit, chat. Let me just put that out there. The fact I have to open each of these cards and click on it to get any sense, and then I don't have a... Why is there's a huge block of space all on the left-hand side of this, like all through here, like right next to the stat stuff, all in the center. This interface is useless. Why do I not have an interface that shows me where my advisors are, how long they have left, and then the things that I need based on time, right? It should be showing me like which people, I should be able to hover this card and see who can do it and where they are right now. There's no reason that this interface needs to be this painful. It makes me click on things like twice as often or 3 times as often as I need to get the basic information for this. Feeling a little scammed by this fucking interface. Where is she right now? I don't even know where she is right now. She's training. And she's training somebody else, is that right? Oh. Alright, this is the one we don't have to deal with. Only Octavia. Octavia or this dude. Harem. So we actually can do all of them if we just ignore, if we just pull everybody back and ignore it. And the one we don't have to do is this one. So this one needs somebody, harem. Yeah. Oh, we can't do them all. We're missing one. Yes, no, we aren't. No, we aren't. All right, all the ones I started previously were scams. Yeah. We've got a month to do this one. Can't support the general, and we can't support the regent. Yeah. I'm not firing people because I don't care. I think we are rapidly approaching the end of my Pathfinder playthrough. Alright. Where are we headed? We're heading up to... We have places to go now. We spent 4 weeks in the capital leveling advisors. I do like the time pressure element of that. Like the fact you have limited time to either go adventuring or develop your kingdom is kind of interesting, but it needs to not be such a painful micromanagement slog. Why not put it back on for a couple of reasons? It was denying me content of the game that I was interested in, things like expanding my borders, things like hiring artisans, things that were making the game cool and kind of fun were being denied to me by doing it that way, and I wanted to see what the system was like because I hadn't played the system. So we started without it, turned it on midway through. I've looked at this system and said this isn't very good of a system. You know, it's all right, but it's overly tedious for what it does. Kind of annoying. All right, I guess we could take care of this hunting grounds thing for a reason. We probably have to switch our party out. Leave Tragic Booty behind and grab what's his face. Him. Never used him in a group. I don't know what his portrait looks like. I think that's him. Mod that makes it much more manageable. Okay. This is Akon, right? Or whatever his name is. Wait, it doesn't tell me his name. It just shows me his level up. Okay, he's human. Oh, it's fine. He's a human. Alright, who are you? No, that's a cat. Yes. Time investing's fine. It makes sense. You can only be so many places at once. I don't mind. I like limited resource style games where you can't hit all of the things you want to hit. You have to make hard decisions for it. I'm fine with that. That's totally fine. What's stupid is how little of the information, both consequences and stuff going into it, is like understood from the player, and then the way it's displayed. I think you have a bow? I really didn't get. Got a longbow +1. I didn't even know. Oh, what's that oil? That oil they gave us. 1 minute temporary 2 enhancement. Okay. Oh no, is that another consumable? Ew. So now I'm going to be, not only am I going to be full buffing people, I'm now also going to be like buffing their weapons with consumable potions. That was the problem. The entire system doesn't make sense without time. We were playing the game and like the time would be super wonky. We'd have like 500 days left to do something kind of deal. How can I see the whole map if I focus as hunting ground? Most people hate it. I don't know. Most people hating something doesn't necessarily make me dislike it, especially when most people are very lazy. So yes, it makes you weaker if you have to do that, and most people hate being weaker in games, but I really do not hate being weaker in games.
Time and space.
Good God, Icardon. 20 gifted subs. Thank you very much, man. Man, how many? You've gifted how many today? 32? God. Well, I'm glad you found that button. Thank you for the support. Much appreciated, man. Alright, where are we going here? Were we supposed to do something when we're here? Supposed to be meeting... Oh, we should have apparently missed applying someone to the council. We'll do that in a minute. And we have to go up to Bakken with these. I forgot to bring those out too. Okay, fine. And what is this? This is a Feast of Feasts. We need to lure the guests there. Maybe I wasn't supposed to go here yet. 20 gifted subs, man. Thank you.
Let's head out.
Oh, this was the map that we did the hunting on. Right. Oh, they're already here. Okay, we're having a nighttime party. Hello. There we are. We waited to have a picnic for a long time. Join us. Relax, friend. Just Just drink a little and talk. Please come here. You don't mind if I call you Econ? Okay. Doesn't know it, but they've been set up now. Not pregnant in the next fucking 15 minutes. You're fired. Alright. Tiva fixes her hair and you notice a tattoo of a stinging wasp on her wrist. Following the couple with a long stare, Natavi says quietly, please come to me when everyone is busy eating and drinking. I would like to talk with you. Dude, that's a big ass fucking cat, that guy. Alright. Ranger greets you with a curt nod. Your Grace must want to talk to Econ. I can make sure everyone has had enough to drink. Looking at Alina's back, Econ turns to you, fixing one of his belt bags. Cunning plan to bring a hunter to a feast, call him to a hunt. You know, Lindsay, she has a creative mind. It was a team effort. And you, according to Alina, thank you. Drink with me? Alina's trying very hard to please you. Lady of the house, that's her responsibility. I think this is more than a sense of obligation. Does it not ruin your fun? Very much of her all at once, however, she's a good woman. Okay, let's talk about something else. How are you? Life goes on whether we wish it to or not. Well, let's see if he'll talk more. Failed a diplomacy check. Get wrecked. What do you mean? Diplomacy fail. Tired of fighting? Diplomacy fail. Learn to main character with charisma. Or rather to level persuasion, because it is a charisma based main character, but we're just not leveling persuasion on it because every other character in our party has fucking intimidate. Alright, drink with me. Looks uncertainly at the offered glass. Help yourself. It's time to relax. The wine is quite good. It's your choice. Don't force yourself if you don't like it. No thank you. Okay. We didn't do more harm than good. Are you at least having fun? Could be among friends and trees, and even better, not holding a bow. Why did you never tell me about Natavi? I don't know who Natavi is. How did you meet her? Talked a lot. Thought she must be in love with her own voice, but we walked many roads. I learned she had a steady eye and a strong hand. Why did you stop talking? Caravan is here, tavern nav is... Okay, so they split their ways. Were you close? We were friends, and friends leave, but stay anyway. Talking. Okay. Development of secondary characters is probably not worth our time, but I get annoyed with the quest things sticking on my book. Alright, did she want to talk too? Did. Thank you for organizing such a great party. Are we done? Probably. Oh. Tell Lindsay to play something special. Where is she? Did I not bring her? Oh, did she make it on her own? No. No, she's over there. Really wonderful idea. It's perfect time for your performance. I'm sure begin. I think it summons like a treant or something. Raise our glasses. Thank Alina for the feast. Think something special. Econ is moving closer to us, fidgeting from foot to foot. At the same time, Alina's trying to lean in closer and closer to Econ, trying to touch his shoulder. Step away from Econ. Try to shove Econ closer. I mean, I understand that we're supposed to be friends with this guy, but like, can't we let him make his own choice? Why do I have to like physically push them into one another's arms? Don't care. Take a step away. The guy's edging closer to us. We wouldn't run away from him. But I also wouldn't try to fucking shove him. Definitely take a step away before trying to shove him. Alright. Okay. Talk. Alright. Now. Dog want. Wants a heart. Why would one fake affection when there is none? I think he deserves a name. Silent. 1,000 experience for that. Like 10 encounters. Yeah, this game is such an ambitious game, isn't it? Oh, we just teleported back to the throne room? Fantastic. Such an ambitious game. It wants to do everything. It wants to give you good CRPG. It wants to give you scaling difficulty. It wants to give you base building and empire building. It wants to give you character storyline and character interactions. It wants to give you morality and alignment issues. Kind of crazy, man. It's such a massive undertaking. I would be so daunted by a task like this.
I'll go ahead.
And it like succeeds so well, like up to a point, but it needed, I feel like it needs just like a little bit more again. Not like in terms of the amount of content, but like refinement of the content, right? All right. Where are we headed next? We are leaving the head. Oh, we're gonna grab these too, weren't we? What did he want? He wanted it on like poisons or something, right? Hopefully the sequel addresses these issues. Yeah, hopefully, for sure. Bodily Poisons 3. We have wow. We have multiple copies of Transmutions in Bodily Poisons 3. Are there just multiple copies in the existence in the game? We have three part 3s. 2 part 3s rather, 2 part 2s, 3 part 2s, and 3 part 1s. Of transmutations and bodily poisons, transmutations and bodily poisons, transmutations and bodily poisons. Alright, what? I've been listening to you all morning. Commented like I think 5 times. Take a look at your messages. All of them have been trolling and kind of really like low level uninteresting trolling. So stop doing that. First and final warning on that, or I'm gonna ban you. Okay. All right. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to be apologetic. You don't have to change your behavior. Just I'm telling you what the repercussion of you not changing your behavior will be. Okay. Just so we're both on the same page. All right. Let's grab our people and head up to Bakken. We'll go from there. All right. Oleg's trading post. I don't know what they could do about the combat either. Like, I don't know how much you can scale D&D combat without a DM. Because the encounters, just pumping stats doesn't make the encounter more fun. Certainly numbers help. Like, it doesn't matter if some of the enemies are much weaker if there's a shit ton of enemies. Maybe that could be part of it, but I don't think it scales encounter numbers at all, right? It just inflates stats of the things you're using, one way or the other. All right, wait. Why can't I give him the book here? Oh, apparently. Is this the book you wanted me to find? Yes. Okay. 1. There's 2. And 3. Right. And does he have the final piece, or is it the other guy? The other guy.
Tread lightly.
All right. Maybe his wife? The last bracer. What would be the sorting that would actually let me figure out if he's got it or not? Weapons, armor, accessories, usable, notable. It might be notable. Yeah. All right, we got all 3 parts of that. Let's head out to the
path is clear.
other town to bring all 3 parts to the smith there. The artisans are all about the fetching quest, by the way. I mean, kind of makes sense from like a perspective of, well, what is an artisan going to do for you? He's going to craft you something from these fancy materials that you go and pick up, but it's still kind of annoying.
Let's head out.
Higher HP and lower accuracy is direction that 5e went. Yeah, the bounded accuracy stuff. Yeah, I don't know, man. 5e had its own problems. Fights were often very simplistic. I don't know. I mean, I appreciate that they're porting a game that 1 million people have played and loved, right? Oh, I don't know about I don't know about 1 million people learning the rule set for Pathfinder, but you know, that kind of thing porting to a PC is nice. But the PC portion of it is supposed to take away the dull as much as possible while keeping the core fun mechanics of it. And I think the combat in this game doesn't quite get there. Like some fights do, but it's really hit or miss.
Adventures can wait.
Well, but there's 2 ways to simplify a system, right? Like you need I feel like you need a somewhat simple pen and paper system, not necessarily mechanic wise, but the way that every turn looks for the player, right? Because otherwise the turns take forever. But when you're playing it on the computer, you don't need that. You don't need that same degree of simplification because the computer can do all those calculations for you behind the scenes, or in our case, mostly behind the scenes. And then we look at them every so often to make sure that we understand what the hell is happening. So it isn't necessary that the system be simplified when you're playing it on a PC. It just, you need it to scale with the difficulty right now. Because right now we're face rolling fucking encounters, and I don't remember the last hard encounter we had. And then the ones that do surprise us are not surprising, like, oh my god, we have to use all of our resources and it really stretches the limits of our tactical thinking. It's just like straight up, you missed this roll, that guy hit you for 1,000 damage and one-shot your character. Yeah, thanks, Joyce. That's fine. Yeah. I mean, it's probably not fine long run, Joyce, but I think I'm not completing this playthrough.
My arrest.
It's the pacing on this is crazy long.
Path is clear.
And I'm not finding I was hoping the combination of the characters are fun. I like their character development, but the character development gets less interesting. Not in terms of like their personalities, but in terms of the character itself being fleshed out. I really have enjoyed that, but that stops having interest when it doesn't matter what I do. Right? Like that stops to be relevant because at some point, like, it doesn't matter what I do. Like, I'm in one of these situations where all of my decisions are meaningless. I fucking hate being in positions where all of my decisions. Yeah. All right. Character creation week was best for me. I don't necessarily think that. I think we had a lot of fun with some of these encounters, but once we started really, I don't know. We have never hit the sweet spot in difficulty again, right? The first couple fights were really hard, but they were hard because you couldn't hit anything. And since then, it hasn't like scaled that way. How upset was Woody over the whole Hope's boyfriend thing? I don't know, man. We don't tend to talk a lot in between PK episodes. So probably doing fine. I think it's generally considered good fun. Now, maybe he's the most irate person in the world after this, and I don't know, and he just doesn't say anything to me. It's possible. Doubt it. But he's been fairly reasonable. We've had, you know, disagreements on the show before, or things we talk about. Where are we going? All right, so we've done fetch quests. Well, the poison mechanic was fun until it turns out there's a spell that you have to run permanently in the entire game that suppresses all poison mechanics.
Adventures can wait.
You know? Like, and each of these individual problems can probably be addressed by some action that we take as the player. But by the time you stack like 5 or 6 or 10 of those things on top of each other, start to really kind of suppress the player enjoyment here. Man, do we do a postmortem on this? Tends to be how I finish games too, right? Like finish playing them as I hit a pretty hard wall. It comes up pretty suddenly, pretty abruptly, not always intended, and then I just like don't want to do it anymore. Every time, what, Calric? All right. One more day, see if it improves. I'll make that decision tomorrow. Whether or not, or rather, I'll probably make it tonight after the stream, whether or not I will continue playing more. But I want to post-mortem this a minute, and if we keep playing after this, so be it. But all right. This game is a flawed gem. Really enjoyed large swaths of it. Really disliked large swaths of it. It's kind of weird. Starts kind of boringly slow. I know it's a tutorial and they're trying to walk you through the system, but it's really uninteresting. It's much more interesting once you get out into this area and start exploring. I kind of liked the an unknown map that you're kind of adventuring in, but they have to have done a better job of setting up these zones better, right? We just really need, in a world this open, you can't be walking into things way above you or way below you. You need some sense of where to go, and normally this would be like GM guidance, and we don't have that here. And what it ends up being is just a time sink, right? A waste of your time for no reason. You end up walking into a zone that you can't fight and you leave. You end up walking into a zone that's super tedious and you just face roll it. I liked the dungeon and the map system. Like, it's kind of neat to have like kind of a themed map. You head to a map, there's stuff on it. I like the way the perception unlocks stuff. I hope not much content is gated behind it. Like, I don't mind missing out on loot, although I hope you're not missing out on interesting quest interactions. I love the character building. I wish it was a little bit easier. I really think that you're instead of having player companions show up and also have stories, probably what should happen is the story should be assigned to one of your companions, is probably what it should be. And that should just be how they do that. Because I think the interactions from that are fine, but you kind of need them with your party. It's a clunky thing switching to and from these characters who you don't bring along with you and don't really care about. Let's see, the game has been fairly not buggy as a whole. There's definitely some small bugs in there, sometimes the spell interactions, etc. I don't know that has to be perfect. You want it pretty close because you're porting in a known system. You want the system to behave identically on the PC as it does in your regular games. So sometimes those bugs were annoying. Things like stacking bonuses that shouldn't be there, or spells behaving differently than they do in the base game. You know, you can make some decisions about that as a developer if you're deliberately rebalancing, but I'm almost certain those things that we encountered were bugs. I like the idea of the expansion of our territory, and I really didn't think I was going to. I was thinking, you know, this was going to be a combat RPG. We're going to be wandering around taking these cool fights, and that's going to be the game. And they're adding this other layer of like counselors and kingdom management, and I actually found it kind of enjoyable once we started with that. But the interface for it is abysmal. You as the player are often left frustrated, or I as the player am often left frustrated with how that interface works, as opposed to actually enjoying the experience of managing my cities, even though I like the idea in theory of managing my cities, having artisans, expanding my territory, dealing with the diplomacy around it. It just isn't done well. So that needs to be addressed, and I'm sure the sequel, I mean, a lot of the shit I'm sure is going to be addressed in the sequel. What else? Combat as a whole was pretty good, but we needed a buff manager. Like, if this game is going to be this devoted to buffing, which it really is, we need a buff manager is the first thing. It just has to be there. Like I'm manually casting something in the vicinity of what, like, I mean, like 7 buffs on this guy, like 5 on this guy. You know, I'm probably manually casting on average 5 to 10 buffs per character. Say low kind 5, so I'm manually casting 30 buffs, and I cast buffs every few minutes of gameplay. Like, that's crazy. That's so much useless work that you're doing as a player that can be done by a computer. That's what computers do well. They do that kind of shit really well. There's no reason that I need to be doing that as a player. What else? The fight pacing I'm not entirely certain about. I didn't feel pressured by fight pacing, so I could rest every 2 buff cycles. That's kind of neutral. If the management of the Empire puts enough time pressure on you that resting is a resource and that's communicated to the player, that makes it a bit more reasonable. But really, there was nothing ever stopping me from just taking another rest and then having full resources to move forward. There were some of the most fun fights we had when we didn't do that, but that was a kind of me just pushing forward to see what we could do, see how it felt. And occasionally you'd run into content that just deletes you if you aren't full buffed. Which brings me to my probably biggest complaint of this game is that it is a combat RPG in large part. There's a lot of combats in here. The turn-based mode is a massive improvement over the real-time in my opinion. But the combat doesn't scale. The difficulty doesn't scale well. And it's made worse by the fact that you don't know the difficulty of areas going into it. You can't like try to match your level to something like equal or slightly higher. The pacing of the axe cause problems with that too. Surprise rounds cause problems with that. The interaction of any sort of storyline event with your party causes problems with that. You start in weird positions. You start with random surprise rounds you shouldn't have in your favor. Things like that are all pretty toxic for this. And I hate the difficulty scaling because once you get into it a little bit, it's a pretty complicated system. You build some characters that are maybe like a little bit better than like the base characters you might start with kind of deal, or maybe just a little bit better than the average character you start with. And then you start fighting through it and you're like, this is fun. I wish these enemies scaled up in a meaningful way, but they don't. They scale up in ways of like just like stat bags. So like all your things don't do things. So rather like you're a powerful wizard, but none of your spells ever fucking hit anything. Okay, well now you have to get synergetic stacking debuffs to do that. Okay, which I've done that. And now I have powerful synergetic stacking buffs and now nothing can stand up against me. I don't like the surprise mechanics for like a number of their encounters where this kind of like, if you know what's coming, you pre-buff like electricity resist. And if you don't know what's coming, you open the well, 3 of these heads pop out. They double round lightning bolt you each, going twice in a row, and they kill your whole party from full to 0. And you go, oh, well, I guess I'll load and do it again. That's not beneficial to the player. I don't care about the difficulty of it, but I care about how that difficulty is presented there, right? Which is, I mean, I do care about the difficulty. I'm saying that's not too hard. It's just stupid the way you do that. I shouldn't be taxed either the knowledge that I had ahead of time or the load. Both of those are dumb, right? Like it's just not a good mechanic for that. I like the customization of the options. Things like that were pretty damn good. I like that I could turn on Death's Door. Death's Door was a nice compromise between getting one shot by enemies that killed my character outright, but not having to end the game when that happened. It was kind of a penalty once we turned on time a little bit, and that I had to travel to one of a few locations to rest out of that. That was pretty damn good. Yeah, the game did love doing that and love doing that repeatedly. I don't think I should be returning to locations very often either. So like one of those earlier maps, I think it's Old Sycamore, has encounters at like 4 different levels. But I don't have a lot of reason to return to Old Sycamore. So like having those other encounters is just kind of annoying. I kind of have to mentally do that. Which brings me to my next point. Why can I not write notes on this fucking map? Like, there's no reason that shouldn't be allowed. I should just be able to add a note. Be like, giant undead wisp there. Need to come back at 13 or something. So if they are wanting me to utilize these locations multiple times because of different levels of content, I should at least be able to track that in a way that lets me keep track of that internally, so I know when to go back and don't forget about it or lose out on that content. There's a ton of item diversity, a ton of scrolls diversity, a ton of build diversity, a ton of weapons. The crafting system's pretty damn cool. I like the collecting different pieces, that you find small pieces over time at different maps and then you put them together to make something. I thought that was fun. I thought it was like a kind of, you feel like you find a piece, you're like, ooh, I wonder what that will be, which is kind of a nice feeling in an RPG. You know, our character selection made it a little bit awkward in terms of utilizing gear, but that's a problem of the system, not so much a problem of the game. Maybe they could have done stuff to address that, but I wouldn't really hold them accountable for that. The fact that all your best tanks don't wear armor is kind of annoying, but that's a function of the game, or a function of the game that's ported in to make this game, right? The Pathfinder system, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. What else? What do you think I've missed here? Oh, the town stats just seem needlessly complicated for what they're doing. Their impact seems rather minimal, quite honestly. I appreciate that they had an auto run kingdom option. I think that's really cool. I think that's a really great idea. But the auto kingdom needs to be comparable in its outcomes if you're going to auto run it. The point of turning off the kingdom isn't to not have any of the benefits or downsides of having a kingdom. The point of turning on the auto manager is you want these things to happen, but you don't want to manage them yourself. So you need them to be at least somewhat competent in that. And maybe this requires we invest in BP so the advisors can do it, or I don't know what it requires, but it's got to have something better going on behind the scenes for it, because this territory expansion and city management is part of what this game is about. And if you don't have it, it kind of loses the appeal, right? It's all good and well. Like, I looked at that and thought to myself, that's not something I want to do in this game. I'm going to turn it off. And then we were running into all sorts of problems with the progression of the game. When you don't have companions because you chose mercenaries, which is an option, and then you also turned off city building because you didn't want to do that, and that's an option, you expect those options to not destroy your portion of your ability to enjoy the game. And they kind of were, to some degree. We're sitting around like scratching our head. Why do we have 375 days here? What's the point of this? Why wouldn't we rest at every encounter? What's the point of this? You know, maybe another solution, maybe if they're going to build so many companion-driven quests, you know, maybe the companions just come out and your mercenaries become those companions, right? We've already kind of mentioned this. That seems reasonable kind of deal. What else? Oh, the alignment system. Again, that may be a function of the game system itself as opposed to the game port. The alignment system is kind of garbage. What the game is telling me is neutral good or chaotic evil doesn't really seem to make a lot of sense as to how those actions are. And because this is limited to like option 1, 2, 3, 4 when you interact with the character, well, that means that you're kind of forced into an alignment system that doesn't make any sense, and you can't work with the DM to add nuance or flesh out details or understand why that perspective is that thing. You're just kind of stuck pressing one of those buttons. And often that means I'm just picking the best option, or sometimes trying to be coherent but having really dumb outcomes from that kind of stuff, and that's kind of pissing me off. Yeah, respecing the companions may be reasonable. You know, they could just do away with this if the companions, but in the base game, you just don't have mercs. And the companions in the base game are just fully blank slates. So they have their storyline programmed into them. They're any race, any class kind of deal. And maybe that doesn't work for someone like Knock Knock, who's supposed to be a goblin over there. Maybe you have to finesse that a little bit in some way. But the solution they went with, although coherent for the storyline, doesn't really do a lot for the player in terms of making this experience a seamless experience, right? So, yeah, alignment is objective and subjective, and maybe I'm just not understanding it cleanly. Perhaps. That's certainly a possibility. What else, chat? Anything else you guys could think of that I have mentioned explicitly liking or disliking? I kind of wanted to give a fairly balanced review of the game, because I think this game is really fun in parts and really boring in other parts. And it's so long. So long is both. I mean, that's another really interesting balanced thing, right? Like, long games are often good. More of the content that's great is really fun. But also, there's so much of a time investment. Torches. The early game combats were on a higher difficulty were really, really binary. You either had the answer to that encounter or you didn't. So you either had 12 stacking accuracy buffs to begin with, or you didn't hit him. You either had your torch counter at level 1 when all your characters are super undeveloped and don't have a lot of options, or you don't. Your swarm counter. And again, I think that's bad. I think that's mostly bad character design. Like the quest was like, here's some alchemical fires that you can bring because there's nasty spiders. So I bring the fires. I burn through those fires in like the first swarm and it's not dead. And that leaves me like 5 more swarms to deal with without a way to deal with them. Pretty dumb. Enemy AI is bad. Enemy AI doesn't necessarily have to be good here. There's ways around that, right? Like, I don't need the AI to be the smartest thing ever. But we got to have enemies that are still challenging to the player. So there's other systems for making challenge to the player that don't necessarily involve a smart enemy computer, right? It doesn't have to be reacting well to you. You can do things like add more, give them pretty pretty strong telegraphed abilities, whatever else you want to do. There's tons of options for that, right? So not necessarily. More stats is kind of that. But the method they chose for this game doesn't really fit the system super well in terms of keeping the encounters interesting. I think it's important to consider the game is designed for real-time and not turn-based. But only partially. The game is better in turn-based than it is in real-time, in my opinion. And it might have been designed for real-time, but they did add a turn-based option. And if they're adding this as an intended playable option needs to be playable. I don't necessarily agree with that. Sorry, NQT. Again, like a really good game that has a lot of content isn't necessarily a bad thing, right? Like I'm not sitting here, like when I have a game that's so fucking sweet, I never want to stop playing it, and it's a single player story-driven game, having a longer single player story is often really nice. And the thing is, we're playing a game that has character progression, right? This is a system that is based around going 0 to 20. So maybe you could cut some portions of this, but it's not necessarily a good or a bad thing independently. The problem is the fights at this point are grindy and boring, not fun and engaging. Yeah, I understand that the base game was designed around that, but when you're making additions to your game, like if you just tack on a feature that doesn't work, you can't really be like, you can't be upset when players are like, hey, your feature isn't really working. They're like, well, the base game wasn't designed with that feature. I know, but you added it as a feature. You have to do the work to balance that. So, I don't know, flawed gem. I'm really looking forward to at least playing through a little bit of the next game when it comes out. I'm just scared of when to approach it, right? Like this game has been out for 2 years or something. And when I first played it, it was a buggy mess. I played it here. It's totally playable and quite good in parts, although too much for me of the things we've already just talked about. But I don't know when to approach the sequel, right? Like, do I dive in right away because it's cool and new and it's something fun to play, and then run into the fact that it's not well done and it's a story-driven game, so the next time I play, I'll know all this information prior to it and spoil it for myself? Or rather detract from some of the things I might end up doing? You know? So I don't quite know. I've enjoyed this game a lot. Talk about this game as it compares to Pillars. I don't remember what the Pillars creation process was like. I remember them having like all unique characters and classes and it being pretty damn good and pretty fun. I liked Pillars stuff. Pillars had a similar problem though. Pillars released as a real-time fighting game. And then it gave you like half the tools you needed. Maybe like 9/10 the tools you needed. The AI scripts weren't quite good enough to automate it fully, and its difficulty scaling wasn't super great. The same problems I'm having here, right? Which I think you got to do one of two things. You either need to build a real-time system where the player spends their time ahead of time pre-programming how they want their characters to act, and then takes control only in exceptional circumstances, in which case the fights are fairly quick. You add things, but the player needs full control to do that. Then you need your ability to set those macros up to do as you want their character to do, and that's a fairly complicated tool building set, right? And Pillars gave you a lot of that, but wasn't quite there. Or you need to build a turn-based system, let the player do it all. But if you do the turn-based system, you got to be aware of the time commitment for doing these things. This is supposed to make D&D combat rounds faster, and it does, but there's still so much, man. After one round of patches, possibly. Next game uses the same engine. You say a lot of the bugs have been worked out, Nix, but I'm actually a little bit more concerned now that you say that than I was a second ago, because I'm seeing like surprise in this game is done. Oh, you know, that's another positive thing about this game. I really like how they did the skill interactions by and large. It's still a little bit annoying that like your main character, like this, it's a little bit buggy the way they implemented it. You lose your skill selection when you have your main character, which is super annoying for all the times in this game where you only have your main character. But again, that's a function of the companion swapping shit more than it is a function of the design of that. So you could either A, make it so your companions are always around for this shit, or B, you could just not give skill checks that are required when your companions, when your guy's alone. But I like the skill system. I felt like skills and camping to a large part, camping to a minor part, I felt like the skills were relevant, right? Like having skill coverage in my team made for a smoother advancement that I really liked. Stealth was not done well. Of the skills in here that kind of, I felt like got punished the most, I think stealth. Real bad. Trickery kind of, the EK or Arcane Trickster rather kind of trivialized trickery, although I appreciated trickery. I thought perception was done extremely well. And the mobility, athletics, and other checks like that were kind of okay. And then I thought Arcana I thought these were really fun. This is the first time I think in a D&D game in a very long time that I've enjoyed lore rolls. And I liked lore rolls here because the lore rolls let me solve puzzles a little bit, right? So like I'm encountering enemies. It's the first time I've seen this enemy. I don't know how this enemy is going to behave. My lore roll information would give me some of their stats and I could formulate a plan based on their stats. Now, it turns out there wasn't a lot of depth to that. It's basically like, do I want to attack them with reflex? It's basically, I mean, it was a little bit. It was stuff like, which AC do I want to target? If I can target an AC touch, do I want to try to make them flat-footed? Do I want to go after the regular AC? Do I want to use abilities that make me do more damage at lower accuracy or not? And then also, what type of attacks are they likely to do? I wish almost like, I don't know how it would be. Like maybe you step into an encounter and all your buffs are automatically off or something, and like you roll your lore and then you get like a buff sequence or so. I don't know what exactly what it'd be. I'm just spitballing as we think about this. But I liked that I got information about my enemies as I fought them and that I could react to that information. And that's a really cool implementation of lore, which the lore skills, which are often considered kind of like whatever skills, right? So I liked seeing those. I liked the way they did perception. The idea that with more perception coverage, you get more stuff, but not necessarily stuff that detracts from the storyline. Although I'm a little concerned that some of the crafted items, you might not have been able to find the parts because you failed the stealth rolls. But anyways. All right. The illustrated images were kind of neat too, like the series of skill checks. I agree. All right. Other thoughts, questions about this game? Maybe one more. I'll give you one more, chat. So this
new subscriber arrives.
Hey, Colstar, thank you for the sub.
It fills you with determination.
This page was awesome and frustrating at the same time. There's so much information conveyed on these pages, especially when you're multi-classing, and it's really good, but it's just not 100%. It's like 95%. Like combining multi-classes with things like bloodline specialties, it doesn't really accurately represent what's happening to the player on this, or not in a way that's parsable by anyone who's not in a way that's an easily accessible information source a lot of the time, right? So with a single class, really simple. Really nice things like your feats are replaced by the icon of the feat you took. That's super cool, so you can easily look back on when you got things and what the impact was. In general, it's super well done, but it fell apart a little bit with the multi-classing. Summoning animal companion is probably too strong, but that's probably a function of the base game. It's all. I mean, the bad AI is worse with something like summons, because summons are disposable creatures. You just toss in front of them, the AI hits them, the AI wastes its turn, you move past, kind of deal. But to a lesser degree, so are tanks. There aren't tanks in D&D mostly. So the ability to run like 2 high AC characters and nobody else have any AC isn't really how D&D tend to work out either. For me. Yeah, so I don't... Oh, they changed them from pen and paper and they're stronger? Well, maybe that makes it worse, right? You know, like the way that they've implemented the system. Again, I don't begrudge them making balance changes to the D&D system. I just want a good game at the end of that. All right. Other thoughts about this? And animal companions are supposed to have permadeath? Are they really? So I'd have to like resurrect the cat if it got killed? I'm glad I artificially limited it to 1. If I had more than 1, I would have been super pissed. Yeah, some of this is certainly that D&D has its own flaws. I agree 100%, Ikerdon.
A new subscriber arrives. It fills you with determination.
Aquatic Superscript. The sub. Welcome back, Guadamus, for the 17 months. Cheers, man.
You have returned.
All right. Okay. From my perspective, I've got this. I have that call with Destiny in about 12 minutes here. Kind of wouldn't mind getting up, walking around a little bit, grabbing some water, etc. It's probably time to take a little break for me is what I'm saying. Would I be willing to try this with mods to fix it? No, I don't think I'm diving into this game. The problem with this game and mods is that this game is so long and so deep that modding it and then playing it from there is going to be a damn large a time investment. And I'm very suspicious of mods in general because most of the time I don't think the goals of the modders align with my goals, right? My goals are pretty simple. My goals are have a challenging, engaging game at as many levels as possible. And I often think mods are sometimes about adding cool new content or making the game easier for sticking points. Like, that's why I like quality of life mods, but not overhaul mods generally, because I'm not always convinced of the modders' ability to do that. And there might be some great mods out for that, but like, I don't understand. I can't evaluate what they're fixing without having played the game and seen the flaws. And by the time we fix it, I'm not even convinced that it's necessarily going to be a fix. So I don't want to dive into it again. It's just such a big time investment. And I thought we had, reasonable viewership for an RPG on my channel, which kind of do so. But this is so fucking long. We're on we're like early act 3, and there's what, 8 acts? Is that right, chat? There's 8 acts. Yeah, Oblivion. I think there's a subset of my viewers, yourself probably included, that did enjoy this a lot, and I enjoyed this a lot, so I stuck with it as long as I did. Better to play beta than mods? Yeah, I agree. 6 or 7, 7 or 8, yeah. And I think, my take home from this is I'd really like to try the sequel. I'm really hoping they nail it with the sequel, because this is so close. This is, again, a flawed gem. This has so many good things. So I am really looking forward to a sequel of a similar vein. This is the best CRPG I've played in probably years. I'm trying to think. I liked it better, and I liked Pillars, but I like turn-based a lot better. We're getting AirTech back. I think. I don't know yet, Rufio. I'm not quite sure what it's going to be. I may take tomorrow off and make some decisions. I may stream tomorrow. I think the plan will be to work through some of the backlog. I know we have a lot of games showing up in the backlog of games we want to check out but haven't got to because we spent so many hours in Pathfinder. So I don't know if we're going to do an ERTech run anytime soon. Although I do know it just released, right? It was this weekend they're coming out with it. So it's pretty cool that it's hitting release. I just don't know. It's another one of these games, right? ERTech, that's another specialty game where a subset of my viewers really like it and want to hang out for it, and a subset of my viewers are really bored by it, and it's a super long, grindy game. So I'm a little dubious of jumping into that. I don't know how many of those we can afford per year. We did ERTech and Rogue Tech last year. Am I going to write or mail Owlcat with my opinions? Would I write or mail Owlcat? No is the answer. I don't know. Occasionally my videos do get developer response. I know my review video of Radis got developer response, and I know the dev who makes ERTech reached out to me at one point too. He seems like a really cool guy. So no, I'm not gonna at them if they wish to find that feedback and do something about it. That's certainly willing to talk to them about it. Certainly willing to have them do that. I don't really wish to be in charge of balancing their games, but I am happy to offer this because this is kind of what we do on this channel, right? So we try a bunch of different games and we try to play the fun ones for as much as content we can get out of it, and then we move on to check out other fun games as they show up until we find something that's so damn good we can't do anything else for. So. Anyways, chat, I'm gonna take a brief break here. It's like it's about 10 minutes till our chat with Destiny. And then I'm going to come back and do that. I guess we should... let me get water, move around for a second, and then I'll come back and probably mess with the camera a little bit. We're probably doing either Giant Filthy or something close. And then we're going to... it's more than 2 weeks, Sander. And then we're going to chat with Destiny. I think we were close to a month on this.